I was walking back from the kitchen. My alarm clock is going off saying that's a 1-minute warning. And so I relax and meander in and sit down and adjust the screen. I look down, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm seconds late. I know, but seconds matter, right? Spend your life as an airline pilot, and I assure you, seconds matter. When you're sitting in that plane and you're thinking, man, is this thing ever going to go, or is it ever going to arrive, or are we ever going to taxi to the gate? Nobody is more aware of that than the folks up front. I promise you. And that gets instilled in you. So, hey, we're here. And first sip of the afternoon. In my usual joyful method, then let us mention it's Friday. Yay. Oh my gosh, I am so ready. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to be here with you today. All Tolowit, Tech, and me. It's just the three of us. Concurrent users right now. One. This is just we should all be sitting around somebody's living room pulling down a Guinness and getting over it. There we go. People are starting to check in. Hey, look, son of Atlas. So I generally have a fairly good handle on my Greek and Roman deities. And I don't think I ever knew any progeny of Atlas. Now I got something fun to dig into. All right, here comes everybody. Thanks, guys. Well, it is Friday. We are halfway through October. If you're not watching this live, we recorded this today on October 14th. That's a Friday, and it's 2 o'clock Central Time, and that's when we do this. We get together once a week at 2 o'clock Central Time on the Total Seminars Discord channel. How about on the Total Seminars YouTube channel? And talk about all things tech and CompTIA and certifications. And our focus is how to use Raspberry Pis to foster our studies. And so as ever and always, we will be doing a Raspberry Pi project today. It's not exclusive to Raspberry Pi, excuse me. Today's project you can do on any Linux host out there. Somebody will come up with some weird, odd exception, I know, but the exception proves the rule. Come on over, man. I have never been to Hawaii other than come and go real quick. So yes, I cannot wait. I've never wanted to go to Hawaii and hang and tourist and all that stuff. But now that we know a couple of people there and my good friend Tolowit, I can't wait to break out. My world starts in about 9 months, less than that maybe. The kid graduates from college. That makes a big rise in my income and a big rise in my amount of available time. And I will start traveling, not professionally anymore, as a tourist. And there are so many of you that I'm going to visit. I can't wait. The prospect is exciting. I'm looking it over at my missus and she's nodding and cheering and clapping and doing all kinds of wonderful things. Well, let's see what's happening here. I don't want to talk about anything cool yet. People are starting to come in now. We got 10 times the amount of people than when the show started. I start on time. I should, you know what? I could incentivize. I've talked with Mike about this. He's like, he gets more and more concerned every week. He says, people aren't there at the beginning of the show, but it builds rapidly. Yeah, you're right. So here's how we could solve that. If we did the contest as the very first thing, or even made a really awesome, amazing contest as the very first thing, place would be packed up before the show started, wouldn't it? I might consider that. As Mike announced last week, something that is confusing to me. He is going to be traveling or semi-traveling or in the process of getting ready to travel all over the place next week. And so he's got conflicts with his show. And so we talked over the weekend and said, can you cover me? I said, sure. And then on his Wednesday show, he said, well, I'm going to be there to participate. Well, great. I love it when Mike does the show or participates with me or I participate with him. So I have no idea what's going to happen on Monday. I'm going to be on. I'm going to start it to be sure. And then we'll see what happens. But maybe I'll talk with him about doing a contest very first thing for the Wednesday show. We'll give everybody fair warning. But this is Drama. Dave Rush, Ask Me Anything. I am the aforementioned Dave Rush, and you can ask me anything. All things technical, no politics, no religion. I don't want to hear the word COVID again for the rest of my life. What a week. What a week. I got a call from the powers that be in the office on Tuesday morning that says, drop everything. This stuff has to be done by Friday. And it's a project that is mind-numbingly time-consuming and painful and challenging. And usually when I get this call, something bad happens. I'm missing a resource. There's 4 resources: a studio, me, scripts, and the stuff to make shots happen, right? The computers, the software, the configurations, and then I need a computer operator. I've hired neighbor kids here from high school, and my missus is always available after work, which means I work on scripts and setups and configurations all day. And then she gets home, we hog down a little dinner, and then we start working. And this project, we had so many shots to do, and they're hard. Do a 7-minute script nonstop with inflection and correct volume and everything perfect the first time. You can sometimes, but when you're 6 minutes in and you bobble it, and these have to be done, at least historically, nonstop, it's so then we have to start over again, get all the configurations set up back at the beginning, and do it again. We've got some techniques worked out where we can actually kind of pause the system and sort of evaluate where it's at and what it's doing, pause the recording and say, hey, look, can we backtrack a couple of seconds and start over and get that edited? Sometimes we can. But yesterday, the first 2 scripts, if you look at them on paper, to shoot them should have taken about 5-6 minutes a piece. And then a little bit of post-production, something like that, call it 10. And we shot the first 2 scripts in 1 hour and 50 minutes. So that was sort of a harbinger of how the rest of the night was going to go. We had 10 scripts to do last night and worked till midnight. And it's been like that for the last 3 days. At close of business today, I have to log all my hours and submit them. I got a 71-hour week because of all that. And I haven't done anything except that. I haven't worked on this. Thank goodness I got a little time in last Sunday prepping the show and writing it and practicing it and so forth, because the first time I touched it was 2 hours before showtime. I had to read over and so, yeah, this is what you do and that's what you do and so forth. So bear with me if it gets a little bit gritty as we go along. I think I got it, but whew, what a week. What a week. I'm caught up. Huzzah. And then I got the word yesterday, there's 20 more coming. All right. 20 scripts takes me 40 hours. At least 20 to 40 hours. So it's going to be another long, what's it, 14th, 15th, 16th, I don't know, 10 days anyways. I'm not doing, there's none ready today, so I don't have to work on them over the weekend. But here comes Monday, and next week is just busy, and the following week is just busy. But it's all for you. So the good news is these are sims, right? We got 4 kinds of sims. We have type and challenge and click and show. And they're all ways to learn and practice things that you need to know for A+ and Network Plus. We're doing the new A+ sims, and they are almost done. And somebody shot the number up of how many we need. We've always done 240, and this kind of looks like between 280 and 300. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. And you're going to get bored hearing my voice on the shows. Sorry. You know what? I was lamenting with my boss a day or two ago. I said, look, I thought I was done 2 days ago. I said, hey, look, tomorrow I got 8 more, and then it's off my plate. And I pointed out that, look, nobody's more of a camera hog or microphone hog than me. Okay. And I got an ego this big. And if I'm sitting in front of people and talking to them and showing them stuff, I'm a very, very, very happy person. But I have had enough of this. And I'm so pleased to see that tomorrow I'm going to do 8 more and off my plate. And he grinned and shot me a joke back. And then the next day, oh, no, there's 20 more that you haven't seen. Yeah. Just can't take it. All right, lots of people here. So now I can go and start scrolling through who's here and what they have to say. So Tolowit, as ever and always, turns up a half an hour before showtime and checks in. Techie Tommy right after that, followed by my welcome message. Live and what's up? And Tolowit and Blue Lantern is here. Nice to see you, my friend. Catherine Legrand, no A. Okay, so the hat. It's hat season. It's October. And I grew up in a coastal town from 6th grade till college. And my summer job was working at a sailboat shop. I was trim, tall, skinny, and light. And those are, and love to sail and love the water. And those are the qualifications to get you a job at a sailboat shop, because at sail, one of the things, if you're not aware, I go down to your favorite docks where they have all those sailboats docked, and the sails are down, the masts are up, and those masts, when you look at them, they are just ramrod straight. Well, there's a reason for that. There's a pulley up at the top of it, and a person down at the bottom with a rope goes through the pulley and goes down to a little chair. And then a tall, skinny guy like myself, tall, skinny girl, goes up to the first level and tightens turnbuckles until the lower portion is straight, and then the midsection, and up and back, up and down. And in a couple hours, we have the mast all straight, and then we get to go out and test it. That was the real joy. Well, during those teen years, being a coastal town, the hat of choice was a hat often worn in the country of Greece by gents who fish. Yes, Greek fisherman's hat. And I realized a couple of weeks ago, month and a half ago, something like that, the Greek fisherman hat that I had in my teens is not in my hat pile. And you go online and there's these new ones and these knockoffs, but it's got to be a Greek fisherman's hat. So I got some ancient vintage one that was probably worn by Ernest Hemingway when he was out fishing for sailfish. Yeah, that was what he was into. And man, it just felt so natural to put on. If you find a picture of me at 17, you won't recognize me. I did have a beard, a little scrawnier than this one, but I couldn't be seen if I wasn't wearing a Greek fisherman hat. I wore it all through college, and then it vanished. Probably my missus threw it away when we got married after college. And, but it's back. So I got a GFH, and I won't wear it often. It's not going to be my life hat anymore, but it's Halloween. Got to do a hat this week, got to do a hat next weekend, and then got to do a majorly fun hat for the Halloween show. Thank you for bringing it up and enjoying it. Oh, Son of Atlas. I'm so intrigued by that. I want to look it up right now, but we got things to do and talk about. Most of the Greek gods had fun with humans, sure. Abu Bakr al-Hajj is the one who said nice hat. Thank you. Jared Graham, in and out on occasion. Good to see you back. Good evening. There are so many people here. There, I don't get that many people here simultaneously, but there are so many people over the years. There have been, I was looking at stats, 15,000 unique people have seen my show in the last 2 years. Not everybody checks in, so I don't know all their names, but obviously there's a lot of you who are regulars, and you point out where you are. And I'm just Trying to remember. Jared, you're in England, if I remember right. Because Jared's a good old English name, as is Graham. But if I'm mistaken, I apologize. But it is evening over there. I need to buy your course. Oh, do I have news today on course fronts? You know what? I got to fill that in real quick. I got two things to talk about. Courses, stand by. Okay, yeah, here we go. I have an earwig going through my head. I have Alanis Morissette. Can't think of the title of the song. I'm brave, but I'm chicken. Yeah, I know. There's another word. I can't think of what it is. I can think of the word. I can't think of the title of the song. You know what it is, but it won't go. It will not leave my head. Yes, Son of Atlas, you do need to buy the course. Stick around for 40 minutes or until about the 40th minute of a show when I do news and tricks and traps. I got things to talk about the show. South Africa. Okay, very close. I apologize for that. Wow. Wow, I just realized something really useful. Okay, good. Has no impact on your life. Andre was late, but here. Heavy D is back. Good to see you, my friend. Techie Post and Bags It gave away 1 Ethereum at the beginning of each show. Yeah, that's what I'll do. First, I have to start mining. Did you buy your spiders at Target? I did not buy my spiders at Target. All of the spiders that I have, and I got a lot more, came either directly from China, ordered off of AliExpress. We got some at some flea markets a few weeks ago. We're changing themes this year. We've been skeletons for the last few years. I sold all the skeletons last year and decided to change themes. And I didn't know what the theme was going to be until about 2 months ago. And said, spiders. And I don't know why. I hope it came from my head. But as I've been running around my neighborhood, and my missus was back in the Midwest last week, everybody's doing spiders. I mean, also ran. I'm horrified. But no Target. Abjo Gaming, nice hat. Thank you, sir. Captain Rush, where are you sailing off to? I am sailing off to the weekend, which will be very, very, very busy. You know any names of regulars? Well, see, you make it a challenge, Andre. I got to remember 3 names for you. Hand in my pocket. Thank you very much. Somali's here. Hello. Good to see you back. Spiders from your head. That sounds freaky. Boy, you are tapped into my head because I have a particular thing that I'm going to do for the show next week, and spiders and heads are definitely involved. Hey, all right. Well, that catches up initial posts and questions. Thanks, everybody. Let us see what kind of neat things are in notes to share with you today. It is, as mentioned, Friday, October 14th. And we know the name of the show and we know the name of the host. I am your erstwhile host, Dave Rush, senior instructor at Total Seminars, resident Pi specialist, and here to enjoy a little time with you and get away from scripts and shooting. And I just want to talk with people for a while. I hate this. I hate talking at you. Please post, please comment. I really wish there was a way to do this as a legitimate roundtable where we could all talk and listen and converse. Wow. I'm looking at my notes here. Nice typo. 13th. Because this is, if you've been keeping track, and I can't imagine why you possibly would, show number 113 of Drama. We get together every week, Friday, 2 o'clock Central Time on this very channel. We do AMAs 3 times a week. Mike does 2 shows on Monday at 2 o'clock local time and Wednesday, 2 o'clock local time. I do it at Friday, 2 o'clock local time. And local time is going to change in less than a month, November 6th in the US, our clocks will fall back. So for those of you whose clocks do not fall back, the show will be 1 hour earlier. Clock falls back, so things happen earlier. Is that right? Whatever. I'm going to go from 2 o'clock to falls back to 3 o'clock. So yeah, it'll be an hour earlier, but that's after the November 6th. We'll give you plenty of warning. Some kind of weird, somebody's talking about my mic stand. Oh, am I wanging? Sorry, I got to keep my hands off the desk. I've got a spring mounted arm, and the springs move and you can't hear them because they're so quiet, but because they're attached to the microphone. I did that in a shot last night. I have another one over there in the studio, and I'm very good. I kept my hands off the desk, and I was had my hand under the desk, and I was getting near the end of a script, and I moved my hand like that, and it hit the clamp of the spring arm microphone. And I said, I got to hear this at the end. I don't usually listen to an entire script to just make sure the audio is good. And if I listen to that thing, I can't begin to describe the sound. It's sort of like a bass guitar through a sustain. Boing. So I had a little fun doing some audio editing there, because it's a heck of a lot quicker to edit than it is to reshoot some of these scripts. So I am doing the show live, 2 o'clock Fridays. If you're not watching this live and you would like to communicate with me, you may certainly do so. If you're watching the show live, just post your questions and answers in the YouTube chat. I will get them and hopefully not miss any. By the way, if I do miss one, just keep an eye on the time, look at the timestamps. I periodically, when I'm reading messages, read off the timestamp, so you know if I've gotten to yours or if I have not yet gotten to yours. But again, if you're not watching this live, it is still totally possible and recommended that you contact me. You can do it in a number of ways. Easiest is via email. You can send an email to me at my company address, daver@totalsem.com, or my personal address, drushtx. I'm Dave Rush in Texas at yahoo.com. And that's all we need off of that. I'll put up some contact info here in the YouTube chat in just a moment. You'll be able to copy paste it. As everybody knows, who has at least any kind of regularity visiting here, I put up a web server every Friday morning, keep it running till late at night on Sunday, and I will do it on request. Send me an email, contact me on the Discord channel or whatever. It's called HTTPS pirsquare.zapto.org. Again, I'll put that link in the chat. And what's there, you ask? I always have something fun there. There's lots of unusual stuff, but I revamped it recently. What's there and what's always been there is every document that I use to put on a show. So my notes and my outlines and my slides and my images. So if you want to follow along with a particular show, or you don't want to follow along, you don't want to watch the thing, just read my scripts or outlines. You can do that. Just go down there. You'll find a downloads page, and the downloads page has now been reorganized into 4 different download pages. So it's a lot easier to hunt through. What else is on here? Weekly specials. We got specials. Oh, do we have specials? And these specials are only available to those of you who watch or know about our AMAs, because we don't advertise them anywhere else. So the special is 50% off a bundle that you create. Pick a topic that you're interested in from this list, A+, Net+, Sec+, and so forth. You can see it on the screen. And then go to totalsem.com, go to our merchant area, WW. I was cleaning up today and I missed a W. There's 3 W's in there. Go to the merchant area and pick 2 products for that area of study. The ebook can only work with the ebook. And oh man, this is so good. I got news to add to this thing. Man, just dawned on me. And Total Tester, the practice test for that. Put them both in your cart for the same subject. And then when you check out, use the code BALL, and that will get you 50% off of those 2 items in that cart. Got other things in the cart, you pay regular price for them. But everything is so cheap. You're not, I mean, it's just good stuff. You're already saving a ton. We're practically giving them away. Here, let's spill the beans. The boss is traveling, and we had a phone conversation yesterday. I pestered him on his personal day, but it had to be done. And we ranged to a whole bunch of topics. And he said, oh, by the way, the ebook is available. I said, what? We weren't talking about getting the ebook launched. Times are all over the place, anything from now through February. And he said, nah, they went on a couple days ago. There was a lot of back and forth. Yeah, you can do it. No, you can't. Yeah, you can do it. No, they are approved, and I have been approved to tell you about it. So the new 220 11.0x all-in-one ebook is available. You can order it directly from totalsem.com. I don't think it's available on Amazon yet, but check. It could be. I may be wrong, but that means now that works for here. If you want to get the new 11.0x all-in-one ebook and the 11.0x practice test, which we've had for a couple of weeks, you can now create a bundle out of that. Huzzah! The book is out. It's out. Hard copy, still waiting. The printers are still waiting on paper. I think what happens is the printers get the paper. They can print however many volumes are in the first run, 1 million volumes or whatever it is, and then they've got to get them distributed worldwide to all the places like the Amazon warehouses and whatever, and then they start actually shipping to real people. I think from the time they get paper to the time it could get to the first person's door is on the order of 3 weeks to a month. So I think they're going to start printing early January, and people will start receiving them in February. Amazon, when I checked the hard copy book yesterday, said ETA is February, and Amazon or our publisher are the people who provide that information. So there you go. This ball code is good until this Sunday night. Then on Monday, we will change the code. And by the way, next week is the anniversary of the eruption of Vesuvius at Pompeii. That's a hint on what the direction of next week's code is going to be. Last thing on the slides while we're doing this, and then I'll start posting all that stuff up on the YouTube channel. Can't get enough of Mike's show. Can't get enough of Dave's show. Can't have enough room to post your question, or Dave or Mike said that answer is way too long. Catch us in another venue. This is the other venue in which to do that. The unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel. It's unofficial because Total Seminars has nothing to do with its ownership or operation or maintenance. We are, some of us are members of that channel and are regular users just like everybody else. We're not even mods. But you can join us over there. They have lots and lots and lots of sub forums. There's obviously a Raspberry Pi forum and a Linux forum and a study forums for A+ and Net Plus and Sec Plus. And there's a humor forum and tech help forum. What's the one that I just had in mind? Oh, there's a World of Warcraft forum for the folks who like to do that, and so much more. Come on over to the link is here, and let me clean this thing off, and I'll start posting all these links to the YouTube chat. Yeah, I know, I realized it when I said it. Tough. Where am I going here? Show notes. Okay, that's where we have, oh, that's why. All the links of all of this good stuff for me to copy and paste. All right, let us first post the link to Dave's Pi R Square server, because it's a very popular thing. And then the Discord invitation link. And then the AMA specials information with the code. And heck, let's go really crazy. Let's post the reason why ball is the code. Some of you know, I always look at the day in history on Monday at the beginning of the week and pick an event that happened on that day in history. So Monday was October 10th. And in 1865, well, you can read it. I'm not going to read it to you. Now the email and LinkedIn links, and that takes care of all the stuff I need to post for now. So if you want to contact me by email, as I said, daveR@totalsem.com or drushtx@yahoo.com. I've also posted here my LinkedIn. If you're not following me or if you haven't linked with me, I do 1 or 2 posts every week, sometimes more. This week, less. I was so busy, I did not post anything this week. That's how busy I am because I like doing it. You know, I'm willing to tear myself away from a project if it's something I love. It just wasn't possible. Not possible. All right, moving along here. Let's go back to messages. Let me see if I missed anything here. Did it. Okay. That's what we'll pick up that. So let's see where I left off. I should have marked that. Margaritaville. Says the rum tourist. That was really cool. Look at me. I've never lost a saker of salt. I just get it over with. Wow. Spiders from your head. Yeah, it's good stuff. It just dawned on me. I'm thinking I should be talking. Spiders from Mars. Yeah, I know some of you know the reference, and it has a couple of different meanings. It just dawned on me. I'm going to make a spider from Mars. I'm going to just take some spider and dress it up as a wacky alien. Yeah, I wasn't kicking a drum. Sorry, I was bumping the table. It's my fault. Oh, we had to bail later. Sorry about that. Yes, clocks fall back. Goodwill gesture. Okay, Abubakar Al-Haj, can we talk about transport layer security? Sure, we can talk about TLS. First of all, what a misnomer. Okay, transport layer security. We're talking about transport layer. We're talking about layer 4. Layer 4, if you follow the rules of layer 4, has nothing to do with security. Layer 6 is all about security. So let's ignore the fact that they call it layer 4 security and just call it or transport layer security. And so let's ignore the fact that transport exists at layer 4. In fact, let us ignore the whole title and just say that TLS is a method of security. Now, this is much more simple than it seems. It is simply an improved replacement for the old SSL, secure sockets layer. And secure sockets layer and TLS are really both the same thing. One's just a little better than the other. And that is a digital certificate. Okay, I want to have a website up here. I do have a website up here that you can access right now, pirsquare.zapto.org. And yeah, it's an org, not net. And I wanted to make sure that it was secure, not because you're going to move data that's could be dangerous if exposed. There's nothing there but static web pages, your name and your social security number and account numbers and all that and passwords. That never happens. My website doesn't use anything that requires security. Well, why would you do this, Dave? Because Google made an announcement some time ago that they were going to stop including in their indices websites that weren't secure. Well, I want my site to be listed in there. All right. So I need to install transport layer security, TLS, and that simply means installing a certificate. So I pick a certificate provider. You can go with one of the big names that charges lots of money. You can go with one of the free ones or anywhere in between. There's benefits and disadvantages to selecting one of them. The one that I chose is free. The penalty that I pay for that is every 30 days, they send me an email that says, I'm sorry, let's encrypt. It's a year. So every year I have to re-up that. And that's cool. Like, I don't mind. I get an email that says, hey, in 30 days, you're going to expire. And I have a little calendar notification, and I can re-up that. And it's a really easy automated process. We're actually going to do that in the next 3 weeks, possibly 4. So you get a certificate from a certificate authority like Let's Encrypt, like Semantic. I think they're out of the business now, but whoever all the big names are these days. And that certificate provides a couple of things. One, it provides a public and a private key pair. They get installed into your system, and they come with this certificate that says, here is the name of the organization that your computer, as a back channel communications process, can verify that your machine is the machine that it says it is, right? So let's say some goober out there wants to spoof my machine and manages to come up with a way to do that. And there's some other server out there now that when you type in, what's the name of my server? pi_r2.zapto.org. You wind up over on their server and not mine, and you don't know that. Well, it's the certificate that's going to take care of that, because the certificate in my machine has information that's not available to anybody else. So they'll check that certificate, whatever's over there, and they'll say, no, this isn't registered. This isn't the right server, the name. When they hit my server, they read my certificate, they get the name of the certificate authority, and then they can contact the certificate authority or one of the intermediaries between them and confirm this is really the server that it is. So that's the two things that TLS is and does. Because of a certificate, we get a key pair, a public key and a private key. So that happens whenever we want to do secure exchanges, and we get the path to a certificate authority that can verify me. And that's the other difference between certificate authorities. Some certificate authorities will issue a certificate based on your say-so. Yeah, my name is Dave. I filled in a form, and here's my address, and here's my email address. And they say, very good, here's a certificate. But when you use some certificate authorities that have higher stature and higher presence, they'll say, okay, thank you. We have your form. Give us a couple of days and we will verify everything on this form, including calling you and calling your friends and your mom, and find out, hey, is this person who they say they are? Is this business who they say they are? And once they've confirmed it, then they will issue a certificate. So they've got a little more vetting under their background. TLS, short, how about one word answer? It's a certificate. It's a security certificate. Hope that helps. Jason Helms, my man. Jason, I think he's one of the moderators over at the Discord channel. Jason's an amazing guy. He when we first met him, he was dipping his toe into certification waters. Now he's been a supporter at a knock for several years, and so knowledgeable. And watching that happen to so many of you folks on here, join the crowd. You're studying for any kind of certification, you want somebody to study with, you want some help, you want some answers to questions, come on over to the Discord channel. Everybody over there is helpful. You might be one of those helpful people. Y'all are just too into my spiders. Yes, I need a big shoe to swat that. William Bray is amongst the living. What up yourself? Jason, there, but check it in. Yeah, because Jason doesn't make it to the shows very often. He's a hard-working guy out there. Yep, Andre's got a new job. Everybody as well. Oh, good. I was going to ask when mom is coming back. Mother-in-law is coming back. And Edgar Salinas is here, as he ever and always is. Welcome back, Edgar. All right, let's go back and finish up some more notes and start talking a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. So we are kind of continuing a theme. We've done the last couple of weeks talking about Ansible, a program that's used to remotely provision other computers, add software, change configurations, stuff like that. And we haven't done that yet. We've introduced how to install Ansible, and we've talked about a couple methods that Ansible uses to communicate with the hosts that it's going to be provisioning. This week, I'm going to sidetrack just a hair to talk about a related thing. When Ansible connects to a remote host, he does it in one of two ways. He either does an SSH key exchange, and everything is done over SSH, or he establishes an SSH connection and sends over securely account names and passwords. Now, a long time ago, we did an episode on making a cluster, multiple computers working together on a single project. And in order for the controller host to send assignments and things like that to the subservient host, it uses SSH. And we did an SSH key exchange back then, and we did it manually because I wanted you to know what was involved there. Well, that episode is still online. You can look it up, you can read about it and learn the manual method. But I thought, hey, you know what, we're not dealing with that now. I'm dealing with Ansible. So I wanted to show you how to do an almost automated SS key exchange between two hosts. And it can be one way. I can send my public key to you, you're a host, and that's all we need to do. I can connect to you now and remotely manage you. Or we could do this bidirectionally. Then you could do that to me. All we need to know is each other's login names and passwords initially to get that process started. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to automate the key exchange. Works on any and all Linux hosts. So you don't need a Raspberry Pi to do this. And in fact, the way I'm going to do this, you can run this as I'm going to present it on just about any Linux host, and it'll work. The same commands, the same order, the same folders, the same directories. There's going to be exceptions out there. But in general, what I'm going to do today can be done on any Linux host. Big surprise, I'm going to do it on Raspberry Pis. So last week, we demonstrated how Ansible can use account names and passwords if SSH keys isn't working. And it wasn't working on mine because I think, I never did bother to troubleshoot this, that I had done the key exchange so many times that something was buried and cached and I can't remove it. It has to be doable, because otherwise that would make Linux a pretty useless operating system if you couldn't undo something. But the good news is the key exchange, when we do it, does work for normal SSH connections. So it's Ansible that's having trouble with it. So we'll be able to do it and test even on the machines that I was having trouble running Ansible on last week. All right, did we do this stuff? Yeah, we got the contact page. There's no tutorial today. It's just all Dave. I got one graphic slide and then a presentation. Everything we're going to do today is going to be done from the command line. Okay, news, tricks, and techniques of the week. So I mentioned one, the new all-in-one Total Seminars Mike Myers ebook is available for purchase. For the moment, you got to get it directly from totalsem.com. Presumably in short order, you'll be able to get it off Amazon when the publisher offers it there, but they gave us the green light to start moving it now. So head over to totalsem.com if you want the all-in-one book electronically, and you shall have it. Next, everybody says, when's the new Udemy class going? So I get that question a lot, especially in the last week or two, you know, some this week and then some more this week. And as people are getting closer and closer to the deadline of 10OX dropping off on the 20th, which I think is Thursday or so, where's the new class? So I talked with the production department yesterday, the manager, the head of department, and a couple of the other folks in there. and the plan was to complete the last render yesterday or today. Monday, we upload everything. And then it takes a day or two for Udemy to bless it. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the latest, you will be able to enroll in the new Total Seminars Udemy 220-1101 course or 220-1102 course, taught primarily by Steve Nicholson, who's been on the show of late and will be on again in the very near future. He and I spoke the other day, and we're putting the final schedule together. And I think because of Mike's travels next week, we're going to do him the week after that. But wow, so exciting stuff. So we got the ebook all in one available, and we have Udemy courses available this coming week. Huzzah. And of course, with the ebook available, as I mentioned, for the discount that we have, you can get the new all-in-one ebook and the new 110X total tester. Make your own bundle out of that and use the code BALL and get them at 50% off. That's awesome. Talked about that just to keep you in the loop of my personal life, or at least some of my personal activities. Got a gig this weekend. I'm doing 9 stages this weekend for a big wedding, and it's for a band. And next weekend, I'm going to do something that I almost never do, but I said yes because they're very good friends. I'm going to DJ a wedding for the daughter of a friend of ours. Oh, yeah. Just got this message from my son just before the show started. R.I.P. Robbie Coltrane. Robbie Coltrane has passed. All right. That takes us up to the contest in my notes. Let's see if any other posts are going on here, and then we'll do a contest, and then we'll get a moving. Hey, by the way, if you're participating in the contest today and you win, and it's going to be an easy contest today, I have taken a question from the new 1101 or 1102, we mix them, practice test. And I picked an easy one so we can kind of start down that road. So everybody's going to know the answer to this, most likely. And yeah, we'll get into that as we go on. I'm going to talk about that for a second. All right, I'm passing Edgar Salinas, who posted at 2:39. Unofficial Total Seminars Discord channel rules. He's right, and he's so right. I think I will post the link for it again, just because I like you so much. Let's post 2 links because I got room to copy paste them both. Control C, Control V. Really? I can't do that? Okay. There you go. Well, I'm glad to help, Abu Bakr. Andre, pretty busy, but so much fun. I can be playing computers all day. Isn't that awesome? You know, look, Mike has said it forever. I've said it for almost ever. Find a job you love. Work your passion, and you'll never work a day in your life. Even all this pain and suffering and misery that I've been doing for the last week, as much as I hate it, I love it. Though I got to say, last night, I was so unmotivated. I looked at the clock and said, look, we have to start now because it's going to, but I just had to drag myself into the studio. Andre did buy a new Ubiquity router, an Edge router. Hope she's not watching. And Jason reading my mind. Edgar says, better to ask forgiveness than permission. So I am fairly regularly, wherever I live, a member of the local home management association board. And one of the things that we have in our rules is a reference to that. You know, there's a lot of places out there who operate on the theory that it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Be it known here forward that that rule is not acceptable. You will not be forgiven if you do not ask first permission. You may expect the full enforcement to undo anything that you've done. But I'm with you. More often than not, better to ask forgiveness than permission. Hagrid has left the building. Yep, there will be no more training of dragons. He was a funny guy. He was a stand-up as well as an actor. Reading messages here. Decky Tommy, which is better for studying networking? GNS3 or Packet Tracer? Neither. They both have their strengths. They both have their weaknesses. GNS3 has the ability to generate traffic. Packet Tracer can only accept traffic. For studying networking, they are both packet. GNS3 is beyond overkill. Okay, now if you're deep into networking, you already have a good deal of background and maybe some expertise at some level. GNS3 is awesome. But for everybody else, entry-level networking through mid-level networking expertise, Packet Tracer, TCP dump, and of course, what I press and use for all of my classes. Man, I'm having one of those days. No sleep in the last 3 days. Yeah, help me out here. What's the big Packet Tracer? Somebody will post it. Sorry, guys. I haven't been drinking. I haven't been doing drugs. I've just wiped out. Been getting about 3 hours a night for the last 3 nights. Shark, thank you. Wireshark. The shark one. Reading messages here. There's my post. William Bray. Hey, Dave. I'm averaging 83, 84% on my practice exams for 1002. Do you think I'm going to pass next Wednesday? I got 624 on my previous attempt. I can tell you this. I would like to see you get better. Our goal is 90 to 95% at a minimum. Okay. We want you to take the test, our practice test, and I assume you're talking about our practice test. I can't speak to anybody else's. We want you to take our practice test so often that you can accomplish 2 tasks. One, and it has a 2-part. You can explain why the right answer is right. You can also explain why all the wrong answers are wrong. And second, I want you to memorize them. I want you to memorize them because we cannot and would not duplicate any questions that we are aware of that is actually on the real exam. However, we're people. We take these tests. We take them regularly so we get an idea of the kinds of things that are being tested. Now, let's say that I take a test. Let's make it a culinary test for fun. And it says, you're making an egg, you're making a cake, and your batter calls for 3 eggs, and you've accidentally put in 4. Which of the following would be an effective solution? Add 25% more flour. Okay, let's go with that. And let's say that that's probably the right answer. What you might see if I made a culinary test is you're making a cake and it calls for 2 eggs and you accidentally had 3. What should you do? And one of the answers is add 30% or 50%, whatever the math is going to be on that one, more flour. Okay, see what I'm doing there? So if you see some of our questions, they're going to help you understand and be ready for the concepts of how these real questions are being asked. Does that make sense? So I'd like, you got time, keep beating them up. Edgar, noted. I would forgive you all if you did something without permission first. I'm ready to start upgrading my PC. Nice. Yeah, well, TCP dump is a capture a packet capturer, but it's not a packet analyzer. So it will capture them and save cap files and things like that. But then you still need something like Wireshark or GNS or Packet Tracer to interpret what you've captured. In my head, I was thinking Surfshark or Wireshark. There you go. Thanks. You're ever so welcome. Another egg and double the rest of it. 10 more eggs and 14 pounds of flour. Start baking for a wedding reception. Edgar, you should throw it in the trash and go buy a cake because you're out of time. Well, I'm glad I came up with that example. It's got everybody thinking here. I was just thinking I knew Wireshark was 4, and I was so Wireshark will it doesn't capture. It uses third-party capture. It either uses TCP dump or PCAP or WinPCAP, but it integrates it. So it's an all integrated package by the time we do that. William Bray. So basically, span the practice test and review the objectives. You got it, man. And if there's anything that you can't answer or explain on the practice test, that's time for a break and go study it and be able to explain it, or at least see the explanation one time. Okay, it's 56. Perfect time for a contest. You guys want to do a contest? I'm thinking you want to do a contest. Somebody wants free practice test, and they probably want the new 11.0x practice test, but this contest is for any practice test that we have, Total Tester online. These are online tests, so they work anywhere in the world. Can I download it and practice? No, you can't. You're going to have to use it online. But I have a really awful internet connection in my part of the world. Then TTO is not for you. Sorry. All right, so this is going to be a TTO contest, giveaway contest. Winner is going to get 90-day free access to any Total Tester online product that we have, that we offer. You want one of the old ones? You can do that too. Previous winners are eligible, which is good because we've only got a handful of people here concurrent. This is going to be a I typed multi-question. It's going to be a multiple choice question. I'm going to give you a question that has 4 possible answers. You will pick one of them and type in the answer. They are short. They're easy to type. You shouldn't have typos on them, but winner is whoever I choose to win. They got to have the right answer. And if I see a winner there who's won 18 times and a winner who has won 1 or 2, guess which one I'm going to pick? Yeah, you know the rules. Okay, let me prep my 2 handy dandy little documents so that I can be ready for that. There's document number 1 and number 2 is right there. Got to copy and paste this and be ready to post in the chat feed. Control C, Control V. All right, let's bring up the slideshow and put the question ready to post. Well, okay, that should be all visible to everybody. Here goes the share. So this is a question again from the new practice test 22011.0x. I don't know if it was 1 or 2. I just picked one at random. And we share the screen. And here it comes, ready or not. Easy question from that. Jim wants to create a secure connection with a remote host. Which of the following would you recommend that he use? HTTP, SSH, Telnet, or FTP? Again, Jim wants to create a secure connection with a remote host. Which of the following would you recommend that he use? HTTP, SSH, Telnet, or FTP? Type your answer, one answer and one answer only. Don't post multiples. In the chat feed, I will be looking over. I knew everybody was going to know this one. Look, if you haven't posted your answer yet, and do it, because again, I'm going to pick an infrequent or a never won or seldom won winner. So you haven't missed it yet, even if the right answer is up there. Reading answers, looking for. You're a funny guy. Andre, when we first met, besides the fact that you were just dipping your toes into the waters, you were, I'm not going to use the word shy, but you were not hanging your banner out at the front of the parade saying, check out what I've got to say. You have become a much more open and participatory person when it comes to these kinds of things. Scott, did you just win the other day? Gonna make me look this stuff up. Yeah, I can do it real quick. Sorry, I gotta look it up. I went to my spreadsheet and has that frowny. I have a spreadsheet that's online, so the people in my organization who handle delivering this stuff out can access it as well. And it has that smiley face crash symbol. There we go. It's coming up. Scott, you're not in my winner database. And that means not only were you are the winner, you're the actual winner. So let us shrink this thing down. Let's put the winning information up there. And all kinds of copying and pasting that I got to do here. Stand by, click this, click that. Put this over in this form. All right, that form is done. Close that. Next, let's go over to the answer page. So the correct answer is SSH, secure shell. Secure means it's encrypted, it's secure. HTTP is not secure. HTTPS is, but it's not. Telnet is the unsecure terminal emulator program that lived before SSH. And file transfer protocol, port 20 and port 21 are not secure. FTPS and SFTP are secure, but not FTP itself. What's the port for Telnet? I don't want you to post the answer. I just want you to be thinking about it. What's the port for HTTP? Got to know all that stuff, right? All right. So congratulations to Scott S. Scott, I have just posted on the YouTube chat something for you to copy and paste, please, and do that before you email me. And now we will put up the how to email me and explain what's in there. Because if you haven't won before, I don't want you to make mistakes that other people have and delay the whole process. Scott, you're going to send an email to me at my company address, daveR@totalsem.com. In the body of the email, you must put 4 fields. No shortcut answers, no same as my email. I need 4 values in there, even if they're obvious and I'm supposed to be able to figure them out. I need your YouTube name, Scott S. I need your real given name, your first name and your surname. I need the email address where you want me to send your access information. And I need you to tell me which practice test you would like the TTO for. So if it's going to be A+, don't say A+, say 220-110X. If it's going to be Network Plus, don't tell me Network Plus, tell me N10-008, whatever the test number is. And there's lots of other things. Head over to the website, totalsem.com, and see all the total testers that are available. Pick one from that list. Get me that email tonight by 8 p.m. my time, please. I'm going to submit that tonight because we've got one that needs a rush job, and I want to get that to them in the over the weekend. And so if I get yours in tonight, I can't send them until I have all of them. We don't piecemeal them and send them to the appropriate people. So thank you and congratulations, everybody. I will do more contests next week. We do a contest every show. If you didn't win this one, hit up Mike's show on Monday, hit up Mike's show on Wednesday, hit up my show again on Friday. We do one of these every week. Everybody decided to go humor mode. Andre, speak up. Don't be shy, because Andre's not. 443 is the least secure of what? Four 23. There you go, William Bray. 23 is Telnet's port number. 22 is SSH port number. So many ports. Dave, how do you choose the winner? What we used to do is I choose the winner based on who I see arrive first with the right answer. But Mike and I have both modified that a little bit because, we get some people who are so sharp and they're always first and they've won 5 or 6 or 7 times in the last 6 months. And that's kind of unfair to everybody else who deserves a shot at some of these things. So now I take all the first places, all the right answers, and then I try and pick somebody who hasn't won or who hasn't won as frequently as some of the other people. Okay, way to go, Scott. Thank you. Everything that I do is a rush job. Almost. Thank you. Yeah, I went down that road too. Hey, all right. So we are up to project time. Did the giveaway here, answer choices, answers SSH. This week's project, we're going to perform an SSH public key exchange between, my title here says between Ansible controller and target host. It's between any 2 hosts. And we're doing this specific for Linux, from a Linux host to a Linux host. There are a little different ways that you have to do things to set up one in Windows or Mac, but and of course, the whole point of today is to automate that process. We are not going to provision target hosts today. We're going to do that next week. Required hardware. 2 running Linux hosts. One that you want to use to access another one with. The one that's going to be accessed, they've got to be able to communicate over a network. And you're going to have a connection from the first one to the internet so you can download the software that we need. Actually, I think if you've already got SSH daemon running, some computers don't come with SSH daemon running. For instance, Ubuntu right now. Most of the Red Hat distros don't have the SSH daemon even installed. You have to install it from the repository. I'm sorry, I don't know why that beeped, and I'm sure it dinged very loudly for you. That's how it goes. But it is included with Raspberry Pi OS. Don't have to do any heavy magic there. So I don't even need an internet connection for it. All right, let me show you a slide. And I'll kind of explain the general process of what's going to happen here using this slide to illustrate it. And then we're going to do it. So this is going to be my host, ultimately my Ansible controller, but it's the host that I sit down at, and I want to establish a remote session with that machine and one with that machine and so forth. So the first thing I have to do is create a key pair inside this machine, a public key and a private key. And to do that, I'm going to run a program called SSH-keygen. It comes with the SSH daemon package. So if your system already has SSH daemon installed, cool, you're done. If not, when you install the SSH daemon, you'll get this command. And what he's going to do is generate 2 files, one that has the private key and one that has the public key. The public key is in a file called id_rsa.pub, and the private key is just dump the .pub, id_rsa. And they're both going to be kept in your home folder, under your home folder, in a directory called .ssh. And we remember, hopefully, that when you have a dot as part of at the beginning of the directory name, that makes it a hidden directory. Okay, I got a key pair here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the SSH copy ID command with some parameters. And what this is going to do is it's going to send This is what this -I thing is going to do. The content of my RSA public file, which is my public key, to some target host, the IP address of some target host. So my drawing has it over here first, target host 1. And when he connects there, he's going to say, wait a minute, I don't have any keys or anything like that. You need to log in traditionally. And so I'll have to put in an account name of some account that lives on here and his password. And once that connection is established, this guy is going to take the contents of his pub file and he's going to put it in a file on that machine called authorized_keys. Forever and always now, whenever I try to do an SSH connection from this machine to that machine, we're going to do a public-private key exchange. I'm going to send something encrypted with my private key. He's going to, they're going to do public and private key encryption. He's going to respond. And because of another thing called a fingerprint, which is in a file, same folder called known host, he's going to say, oh, okay, I recognize you. Let me check my key. Let me encrypt with my key anything that you're asking me to do. And he does, and he will send the information back. That's all I have to do. I don't need this green arrow stuff. So if I want to do this on another host, I don't have to do SSH key gen anymore. I already have IDA RSA and IDA RSI pub. So all I've got to do is do another SSH copy ID command over to the IP address of another host. Again, first time, I'm going to have to log in with account name and password. The contents of my public key file are going to get sent over to the authorized key file on that machine. And this machine can now establish SSH connections with this machine without doing password exchanges. If you want to do it the other way around, if you want this guy to initiate an SSH connection with this guy, then you go over here, you do the same thing. You do SSH keygen, generate a public-private key pair, and then you do SSH copy ID to some host that you want to connect to. But it doesn't have to be bidirectional. Okay, once I send my public key from here to here, I will be able to establish a connection and run commands and see results and do all that. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to set up a bidirectional one, probably with 2 different hosts. I know, sorry. Wangy Springs. We'll keep that up. I'm going to bring that back up for the review. So my setup here today, I have 2 hosts running Raspberry Pi OS. I cleaned out, before I started my lab today, the contents of the home directory.ssh. And if I wanted to be really thorough, I could have wiped out the .ssh directory. Heck, you know what? Let's do that. Let's just start this thing and I'll finish utter and total destruction on this. Let's run putty. Pi at Ansible pi.local. And putty says, hang on, I'm finding it. There we go. I found it. I know you can't see it yet. Password is raspberry, RASPBERRY. And I'm logged in. Let's share the login with you. I don't know who that is. They can call back later. All right. So I'm in the home directory of my Pi account right now. I can tell that because I got this little tilde symbol here. And we check out what's in this directory. I got a few files. I got a PNG file and some other gobbledygook. I don't see a .ssh folder. No, you don't, because they're invisible. If I want to see everything in here, we'll add the -LA switches. And now they're alphabetical. PS, there it is. There's .ssh. And let's go in there real quick just for fun. cd.ssh. And we're doing ls. There's nothing there. ls -la. Nothing there. So let's wipe it out with rm dot SSH minus RF. It's empty. I shouldn't have to do minus RF, but all right. LS minus LA. It's gone. LS minus LS. P. Okay, there is no more .ssh. While I'm at it, I'm going to go to my target machine and wipe it out. So these are going to be totally clean machines. So let's do SSH. You got this? I'm in a SSH connection from my Windows machine to the Ansible Pi, and now I'm going to use its SSH program and connect to some other computer. You can do this all day long. You could do nested shells. Okay, so SSH Pi at, I don't remember its name, 192.141. Sorry, how about 192.168.1.141? Yes, this is a quirk in a system that I have. I'm stuck with it. Password is Raspberry. All right, so now I'm over there on Pi Web Control. And there's .ssh. I cleaned that out this morning. And even though I cleaned it out this morning, a file just got created a couple seconds ago. When I connected to it with SSH, it made a folder called .ssh, or would have if it didn't existed, and created a file called known hosts. And it took my fingerprint from my Ansible Pi. So every time you connect to connect with SSH to another host, he's going to put the connector's fingerprint in there to say, I'll recognize you next time. So even if I wipe this out, that's cool. It's going to get created again. So let's do that. Let's do wipe out all of .ssh, rm minus rf .ssh. All right, all gone. Okay, no .ssh is in there. There's an SSH host list, but that's from a totally different exercise, has nothing to do. So let's get out of there, exit. Now we're back over at the Ansible Pi, the home folder. Same thing, the known host thing got updated here, even though I wiped this out. So it's always going to get created every time you do SSH connections. We're sort of stuck with that. That's all right. All right, so I'm on my Ansible controller system. I want to set up an SSH key exchange between my Ansible controller and the host that I was just in, target host 1. So the first thing I need, well, let's look in here real quick, ls.ssh. The only thing that's in there is known hosts. So I need a public and a private key pair. Now, what you should do in the real world before you ever install any kind of new package or do anything like this is do an update and an upgrade. I did that this morning, so I'm not going to do it again because it's, even though it's current, it can be time consuming, especially if something came out in the last 4 to 6 hours. I got burned by that a couple of weeks ago. So let's make our public private key pair. You don't have to be in the SSH folder. In fact, it would normally not even exist if you hadn't done any other SSH connections. So all we got to do, I don't even need sudo here. I'm just going to say SSH minus keygen. Generating your public and your private keys. Enter a file where you're going to save the key. Now I could do this in something different, but if I just hit the enter key, he's going to save it in my home Pi directory in .ssh, and the public key is going to be ID RSA. Sorry, that's the private one. So I'm just going to hit the enter key here. Bump. Passphrase is something that you can do that will add a passphrase after the key exchange happens. Well, I don't want to do that for an Ansible setup because I don't want to be interrupted with, hey, what's the passphrase? Now you can build that into configuration files, and but for us, we just want to do an SSH connection where it happens automatically. So again, I'm just going to hit the enter key. Are you sure? Yes, just hit the enter key. All right, and this is called some random art. This is related to the fingerprint. Not going to get into it, don't care. All right, so now let's see what's going on in .ssh. I now have 3 files. I've got known hosts that I have connected with or that have connected with me, their fingerprint, and it's related to that art. And then here's my private key. Let's take a look at it. Cat. Oops. Cat ID RSA, that's my private. And there it is, my open SSH private key. How about the public key? A little smaller, a little different. Remember what a key pair is? It's 2 parts of an encryption decrypted system. Somebody encrypts with my private key and I decrypt with my other way around. They encrypt with my public key. I decrypt with my private. And that can work backward and forward. I could pass out my private key and use the public key to decrypt, but that would be crazy. All right, so I have 3 files in here now. Known host is always going to happen. My public and my private key are going to happen. Cool, I'm almost done. Now what I have to do, this is the automatic process, is I've got to send the contents of my public key file to some other host that I want to SSH with. And the key to do that, guy, buzz, 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 grind, 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 is the SSH copy ID command. I'm going to copy paste this. All right, so I'm going to run SSH. And by the way, you don't have to be in the folder to do this because I'm going to provide a full path to the file. So I'm going to say SSH copy ID -I, this file, the contents of this file, and then where are you going to send it to? I'm going to send it to, and we're just going to say the IP address. I'm not going to say pi at the IP address, just the IP address of the host that I want to have my public key. So 192.168.1.141, and SSH is going to establish a connection over there, and it's going to say, I don't know you, give me an account name and give me a password. So wait a minute, I do know you because I have you in my known hosts. If I hadn't done the known host things in advance. So, all right, password is Raspberry, RASPBERRY, bump. So I've added a new key over there. Now let's see if anything's happened here. Nothing new has happened here. The only thing that happened is I sent the contents of my pub file over to the 141 machine. That being the case, I should be able to connect over there without any passwords or accounts. So let's try it. SSH 192.168.1.141, and bam, I'm over there. No passwords. It said I'm using the Pi account, and that's all you need to know. I can see that from here, but it doesn't always show that. Now let's see what's going on in his SSH folder, cd.ssh. He's got a new file in here called authorized keys. This file holds any and all public keys that he's received. So let's see what's in that authorized key file. That's the same thing as my public key, which was nice and short compared to the private key, right? That's the automatic process. What we did last time when I did this as a project is we actually manually copied these things out and then created authorized key files and copied them in there, and what a mess. And by the way, notice at the end of this file, this equals space, and it says, hey, here's who the public key belongs to. So when I send over my private key and he decrypts with it, he's going to look in here, and that's how he figured out, oh, okay, we're using Pi as the account. I can force other accounts with this. Cool. Now, while I'm over here, if I want to do this bi-direction, well, let's see. I'm over here. Let's try an SSH from here back to the Ansible system with a shell and a shell and a shell. So SSH pi at Ansible pi.local. I'm in a shell going from Ansible to here. Now I'm going to open up a shell and go from here back to Ansible. Okay. This is for the known host and the fingerprint thing. Yeah, do it. Give me an account name over there. It's Raspberry, Raspberry. All right, so I'm back over there, but not by backing out, but by kind of moving forward again. Let's see what's happened in his SSH file, his SSH folder. It now has a, oh, well, it didn't have it yet. Oh, it doesn't have authorized keys yet because we haven't sent the public file yet. Okay, so nothing changed over there. Let's go back to Pi Web Control, and let's generate a public and a private key pair here and send it over to Ansible. So SSH keygen. I know it's kind of hard to keep track of all this in your mind with just words. I'll go back and revisit that file again. Making a key pair on the Pi Web Control machine, I hope. Really, I am. It's not like I haven't done this 30 times last Sunday. This should have just gone and been done. There we go, finally. Okay, where are you going to save it to? My home.ssh in the private key file. I'll just hit enter. What about passphrases? No, no. Okay, there's your road art. Great. Now I've got authorized keys. That was from Ansible coming to here. I've got a private key, I got a public key, and I've got known hosts. So now I want to take this public key and send it back to Ansible, and that will give him an authorized keys file. So we'll use that SSH copy ID command, -I, public file, over to the IP address of Ansible host. What is the IP address of Ansible host? Is it 104? I think it is. Just for fun, let's try this. I meant to try this as a test last week, but we got a chance. Ansible pi.local. Fingers crossed. Hey, okay, great. It worked. It was able to work with a DNS name. What's the password over there? Raspberry, Raspberry. All right, I've sent my key over from Pi Web Control to Ansible. So now I should be able to SSH from here over to there, no passwords. SSH, Ansible pi.local, enter, I'm connected. No account names, no password. I'm in a shell and a shell and a shell. And this is what I would expect. 4 total files, a known host, a public key, a private key, and a file with the authorized keys of systems that are allowed to connect to here. Let's get out of this shell and then get out of this shell, and we'll be back natively in Ansible. Here's my 4 files. That's the public key that Pi Web Control sent to me. I know that because here's that equals Pi Web Control. And if I have some other host send me a thing here, well, let's do this one more time. Let us send this to another host. What's a good another host to do this on? Did 141. How about over to 250? 192.168.1.250. Okay, I'm going to send my public key over to 250. I don't need, that's not what I want to illustrate. I'm just going to SSH over there. Oops, that's not the password. All right, I have nothing over here. So I'm going to make a public private key over here. SSH keygen. My whole point in this exercise is I'm going to take some other host and I'm going to send its private key back to Ansible host so that it will have two public keys. I keep saying private in the wrong place in its authorized host file. SSH keygen, generating it, buzz, 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 grind, grind, grind. Where do you want to save it? Right here. Passphrase. No, no. All right. Send the public key back over to the Ansible host. At .local. All right, it's all done. I'm not going to SSH practice over there. I'm just going to exit out of this shell. I'm back at the Ansible host. And now the authorized key files, can't tell that it's changed here, but let's check it out. Cat, authorized keys. Hey, look at that. There's two sets of keys in here. One from PyWeb control and one from PyR square. And that's it. That's how we automate the exchange of public keys from one host to another. And I'm going to re-summarize that for you in veritable seconds. I got a lot of cleanup to do after this. I'll leave that terminal up and running. All right, so I got a lot more detail in my notes. You download this, you can follow it. What the notes exercise has you do is start with this host, connect to that one, send the public key over there, then go over there, make and send its public key over here, then do it again on another set of hosts. So this guy can talk to this guy can talk to this guy using SSH keys. This guy can talk to this guy can talk to this guy using SSH keys. The one thing that I never do in that exercise is I don't exchange public keys with these two folks. So they can still connect with SSH, they're just going to have to use account names and passwords. Now, the next piece is the additional security piece. For the maximum security, what you would do next is go into your ssh.conf file, and you would disable account name login. So the only way to log in with that is with authorized keys. And you have to have sent them your public key, so it will be in their authorized key files. You got to make sure all your ducks are in a row. Initially, to pull this off, you want to have copies of your private keys and public keys someplace in case this machine gets wiped out, or make sure you got backups and things like that. Or if worse comes to worse, let's say you lost your public and your private keys from your initial machine, the one's got master keys to everything. That's okay. Just go to the other hosts and, excuse me, delete the contents of their SSH folders. Back them up if you can, maybe you'll be able to regenerate them, but then you'll be able to get back in using traditional methods. Make sure their SSH conf files are edited to allow account name login. So you'd have to do that on all the machines, but that's a maximum security method. All right, so I didn't disable them on mine. I'm not going to show you how to do that. All I wanted you to see was what we're doing and why we're doing it. So summary, the process is pretty simple. You run SSH keygen to generate a public private key pair. Those are each stored in a separate file in the .ssh directory in your home directory. One is ID_RSA. The other is ID_RSA.pub. Then we use the copy ID SSH command. Am I backward on that? Whatever. And copy the contents of that public key file on my machine to another machine that I want to establish SSH connections with. It will go in that host's authorized keys files, and we're done. You can do it bidirectional. You can do it monodirectional, any way you choose to do it. So automating the key exchange, it's an easy process. It provides strong security. No account names or passwords are ever going to get passed over the wire. It therefore provides faster logins, and it prevents you from needing to remember account names and passwords of each target host to which you want to establish an SSH connection. You can apply additional security by disabling account name and password access in the ssh.conf file, and then the only hosts with authorized keys will be able to connect. Hey, give it a try. It's a lot of fun. And that winds up today's project and lesson for today. So let's see what happened on the chat feed while I did all that. I'm picking up at, whoa, super scroll. 303, William Bray, so many port numbers. Reading messages here. All right, the last message we did was rush job. Techie Tommy, be confident. If you post something in there, you don't have to delete it. If I'm not happy with it, I'll ignore it. I can probably got some in. It looks like asymmetrical encryption, unsymmetrical. It's asymmetrical. Yes, it is asymmetrical encryption. As you could see, the public and the private keys were different. In symmetrical encryption, they would have to be the same. And then it wouldn't really be public and private key, right? They would just be keys. Abu Bakr, is the key exchange same as SSL key exchange? It's very similar. So let's dive into that for just a second, since you had the SSL question here. How am I doing on time? Oh, I got plenty of time. All right, so your usual SSL certificate key exchange is done on a website, but it can be done on all kinds of other processes. So, but let's look at the most common one. This is really kind of weird. If you don't have your head wrapped around this, I'm about to blow your mind. When you hold a secure conversation between your web client and your web browser, hang on to your hats, sorry, your web browser and a web server, you're going to use symmetric encryption. Your browser and your host are going to use the same key. That's symmetric. But here's what happens. They start out their initial connection. The web server sends his public key to your browser. Your browser sends your computer's public key to the web server. I didn't know my browser had a public key. Yes, you did. If you look in your browser settings under certificates, that's where all your public keys live. You got a lot of them in there. All right, so I've sent you, I'm the browser, you're my web server. I've sent you my public key. You've sent me your public key. We confirm that they work. All right, great. We are holding a secure conversation. Now, the problem with these asymmetric public and private keys is they take a lot of time. When I send you a message that I've encrypted with your public key, you have to decrypt it with your private key, that big, long monster private key. When you send me a response or when you send me secure data, even just a web page, it has to be secured through my public key. It comes to me. I can't see it. It's all encrypted. I have to use your public key. Sorry, I have to use my private key to decrypt it. that really causes slowness. So here's what happens. We do the initial asymmetric public-private key exchange. And then once we have a nice secure channel to communicate on, we exchange or we agree on a common symmetric key. And henceforth, all the communication between the server and the browser will use that symmetric key. It's much quicker to encrypt and decrypt with that simpler, smaller key. When we break the connection, the public and private keys may or may not get tossed. Your private key will never get tossed. Your one system may dump the other guy's public key, may remember it. That'll depend on your system settings. But in SSL, we exchange asymmetric public and private keys with each other. I send you my public, you send me your public. Then we use those public and private keys to get communication going, and then, we can exchange a symmetric key and do the web session symmetrically. How's them apples? Does that blow you away? Yeah, you know what that was, Andre. And that wasn't what you think it was. That wasn't an ISO. I was working on a couple different machines, and I needed some information on this machine to that machine, and I didn't have a direct connected way to do that. And I didn't want to copy it to a thumb drive and do snail mail. So I said, oh, here's what I'll do. I'll do an SCP file copy, and I'll just call it Monterey OS or whatever I called it, and send it to a third intermediary computer. And then I'll use this other computer and get it from there. So it was just kind of like a way station to move some data back and forth. Patricia Grace is now driving home. She's texting to the YouTube chat while she's driving. Patricia Grace, you are stopping my heart. Stop it. Yep, you have to rewatch. It's good. That's okay. Andre DeGoyer, I took your joke. Maybe you created that. Maybe you got it from somebody else, but I shared that on the internal fun channel at Total Seminars, and nobody else had heard it before or used it before. I'm thinking Michael Smyer didn't respond. He probably does. He knows everything about everything, and he's a big Mac aficionado. But Andre called the Mac operating system the fast food operating system. Perhaps one of the funniest lines I have heard this year, and I will almost never call Mac OS again from now on. It's the fast food operating system. So that is just nothing but raw good. Well done. We're gonna do the Edmund Fitzgerald jokes, huh? Too soon. I love that story. You know, I followed it from the day it happened. I lived up on the Great Lakes, and I have followed its history over the years, and I've watched the history change. Oh, it was this was the cause. No, wait a minute, that's not the cause. And for those of you who don't know or don't care, tough. Edmund Fitzgerald, everybody knows the song, so I'm not going to tell you the story there. But the cause for its sinking under the current interpretation right now is a really big ship. It was, you know, in the song they say it was the pride of the Great Lakes or whatever it is. It was literally the largest, the longest cargo ship. It was hauling iron ore primarily on all of the Great Lakes. To become the captain of that is, you know, kind of like becoming the captain of the Enterprise, the flagship of the whole fleet. Well, so here it is. They're in bad weather. They're in stormy weather, waves going like crazy. And the common thinking right now is that there were two waves that weren't quite spaced as far apart as the ship was long. So you got, and I'm trying to get my balance fingers on here. There we go. So you got two waves doing this, and it raised the ship out of the water. And there was so much weight in the middle that wasn't supported by water that the hull broke and went down mighty quick. I missed the baking. She missed the baking lesson. That is the job of a great instructor, to come up with analogies quickly and that make sense and that match experience of your audience, your students. Dave called himself great instructor. Headline. Got all my ducks in a row. Thank you. Dave Rush. Will that work on Windows machines as well? No, you need a different keygen program. There's a window-based one, and then there is a Windows-based one for exchanging. Now, working the other way around, what you're going to do with a received public key will vary based on the kind of client that you're using. Windows has a place where it stores public keys. You can store a public key anywhere you want if you're using PuTTY. You just have to configure a connection, and in the connection, one of the configuration values is a path to the file that holds a public key for the device you're configuring. So now it's a little backward. Today's exercise was 100% Linux to Linux. Doable on Windows, but because there are so many different SSH clients on Windows, each one is a little different. Your English not so good. Neither is your Dutch. I'm kidding. Andre took a class in Dutch and got a B, if I remember that right. Abubakar, understand most, maybe 75% of what you said. Yeah, so this is like all it's a little bit complicated. Following it in just words is tough. Let's review that real quick with El Grafico, because maybe this will make a little bit more sense now. So I started on machine number 1 here, Ansible controller. I ran SSH keygen. It created ID RSA pub and ID RSA. Pub holds my public file. Then I used the SSH copy ID command to copy the contents of the pub file, the public key, to some other computer, the target IP. So here's that file, ID RSA pub, and I sent it down here to target host 1. It goes into a file called authorized keys. I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. From this machine, I can, from now and ever, create an SSH connection between here and here just by saying SSH and the name of this host or the IP address of this host. A key exchange will happen. I'll be checked out in the authorized keys. I'll be approved. The account name gets approved, and I'm connected. All done. I did the same, or I would do the same thing here. I got another machine I would like to be able to connect to without account names and passwords. I've already got a key pair, so all I have to do is use the SSH copy ID command, send the contents of my pub file to the IP address of this computer. It will go in his authorized keys. With that first connection, I'll have to use an account name and a login. But after that, once it goes into his authorized key files, for now and ever, I can just do an SSH connection between here and here, and I'm good to go. Then what we demonstrated was the reverse. I went over to this machine, SSH'd into it, ran a keygen, so it would have a public and a private key pair, and sent the copy of my public key up to the authorized key file in this Ansible controller machine using the SSH copy ID system. And then if you follow along in my lab, in my notes, got all done, I tested it, I go back up here, I SSH into here and do exactly the same thing, run SSH keygen, make a key pair over here, use SSH copy ID, copy the public key from here up to the authorized key folder on the Ansible machine. And now everybody's totally bidirectional. This guy can SSH to this guy without passwords. This guy can SSH to this guy without passwords. We don't have to do that bidirectionally. If I want this guy to use passwords, I won't send my public key up to him. I won't make public keys. He doesn't need them. All right, so I hope that makes a little more sense. If you watch this one more time, if you follow along in the notes that you download from pyrsquare.zapto.org, and you'll have this picture to follow along with, that's in the download notes. I didn't share any of that. I just brought it up and assumed you were looking at it. Stand by. Let's do that again. I have time. And I'm an idiot, so that's the fun part. Okay, so I started on an Ansible controller. I was in the terminal prompt there. I used SSH keygen to generate a key pair. an RSA pub file, and an RSA file. Then I use SSH copy command to send the public key from my file to the authorized key file of some other host. When I do that the first time, it says, you got to log in, give me an account name and give me a password. So I did. And now he's got my public key. Forever and always, if I ever want to do another SSH connection from here to here, the public key exchange happens and no passwords, no account names, all done. Once I did that, for fun, I said, let's do it the other way around. This guy wants to initiate, that's what all this public key exchanging is about, an SSH session from here to here. So I start over here on the prompt. I run SSH keygen, make a set of key pairs, a public one and a private one. I use the SSH copy ID command, copy the contents of my public key file to the authorized key file up here to Ansible. Again, the keys haven't been exchanged yet. So when I try that the first time, when I run SSH copy, I've got to provide an account name and a password. And by the way, he always uses the account name of who you're using in your SSH. I could force another one, but that's done. Once my public key is over in his authorized keys file, forever and always, I can now just SSH from here to here, and the key comparison and swap happens, no account names, no password, back in business. And just for fun then, in my notes, I illustrate doing that again on another machine. So these guys can initiate communication with each other bidirectionally. This guy can initiate from here to here. This guy can initiate from here to here. Same thing going on over here if you do all that stuff. This guy initiates connection from here to here. Everything happens. I don't need anything else. But if I want this guy to initiate from here to here, I do the grand key gen and exchange, send my public key up to here, and now this person can connect over here without passwords or accounts. Here's the one thing I didn't do, right? These guys can't connect to each other using just SSH keys. They can do an SSH to each other. They'll just have to use passwords and account names. What if I disable account name logging on either of these guys? Then they couldn't talk to each other, even with account names and passwords. The only system that could remote to them would be this system, because he's got their keys. Hope that makes a little more sense. Okay, 7 more minutes. You get an A+ for English. Today is National Dessert Day. So you put a plate full of sand. That's crisis. There's not many desserts I can eat anymore. Every dessert that I eat is have fake sugar, fake chocolate, or is made out of almonds. But it's working. I'm reading that out loud. You saw it in the reflection of my eyes. That's brilliant, Edgar. Absolutely brilliant. Kudos. Very nice. Cool. Connect host 1 to host 2. Can't do it unless I go do that magic or just do the traditional SSH connection. All right, that's everything that I've got today. If you've got any other questions, post them now. Otherwise, we'll finish up 4 or 5 minutes early. I'm not going to vamp. I'm just going to do stuff. I got to load the trailers tonight. They've got the stages on them, but I got to get the stages ready to go and ship out in the morning and all that good stuff. So let's see, what are we going to hear? Let's do some closing up stuff. In the end, that turned out to be a pretty good turnout. Any final questions here? TD Washington turns up, closing at closing time with 5 minutes to go, but good reason. That's cool with that. Hi, Dave, just popping in for a few to say hi, studying for 002. Way to go. You just passed 001. Outstanding. And congratulations. And you have, today is the 14th. You have 6 days to complete, which I believe that you can do. Glad you liked today's episode. Informative. You are welcome Yes, you may call me captain, not just because of this, but because of my previous career. La, 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 la. See if I missed anything. No. All right. Let's go through the closing notes. Do I have closing notes? I always have closing notes. So upcoming episodes, tentatively, lots of projects on tap. Next week, we're going to close out Ansible by provisioning some hosts. And I've got 2 different methods tentatively planned. I think I got a day or 2 of breathing room before the whole big killer project starts again on Monday. So I will put some effort into prepping a show for next week. If the wheels come off the wagon, it'll be just an open topic show next week. But I don't want to do that because, as you know, I'm working Mike's show on Monday and Tuesday, and those are always wide open topic, little different audience in many cases. So I don't want to do 3 open topics in a row. And Mike is expected to participate or maybe even do the show, depending on how it all goes. After that, we got astrophotography coming up. I got it was a 3/4 moon last night, so I got a couple weeks before we go to a dark moon. But some of you saw a picture that I posted with my first effort. Very exciting. This should be good. I got a 64 megapixel Ardu cam. We're going to do Let's Encrypt, and we're going to make an Apache server. Everybody in here can make an Apache server in 4 minutes. Okay, go to your favorite Linux host. If it's Debian based, sudo apt install Apache 2. If you've got a Red Hat based system, sudo DNF install HTTPD. It's the same thing. Now you got an Apache server, and then we're going to use the Let's Encrypt software to create and install. Now, before you can install a certificate, there's one thing that you got to do. You have to make it part of a domain. And that means you're going to install DDNS. So what I do is I use no-ip.com. They have a free service where you can register your machine on their DNS system. You'll have what's called a duck, a piece of software called a duck on your system. And that way, if your system ever changes IP addresses, if your local host changes IP address, your ISP changes your IP address, that's okay. You're still findable in their DNS system. So you pick a name and cool. Now you got a machine. You could do that with an FTP server. You could do that with an SSH host. You can do it with any host in your system. You can just make it part of a name of a domain, as long as the DNS service that you're registering it with has a DNS server that has your kind of host in there. So maybe it's a mail server, maybe it's a web server, maybe it's an FTP server, file server, whatever. Now it's got a DNS entry. So at that point, you're able to add a certificate. And we'll use Let's Encrypt because they're free. They're good for a year at a time. By the way, no IP, for their free service, you have to re-up your name every 30 days. It's no big deal. They send you an email. You go and click, 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 click. Okay, you're reapproved. But if you don't do it in time, you'll lose your name. Now, then you start over. It's not a big deal as long as you picked a nice, unique name that nobody wants to steal. And their free service, you can have 3 different names. So I could do 3 different hosts in here. I could do them all in one host and do heavy magic. But what I'm about to show you in a couple of weeks is how to add a certificate. Mike's show on Monday. He will be participating to some level. I'll be hosting. Ditto for Wednesday. That's the tentative plan. Reminder, the week after that, we'll have Steve Nicholson back on. I don't know if he's going to join Mike or he's kind of champing at the bit to do a solo show. Neither Mike nor I has a problem with that. So we just got to work out the logistics. And, I think Mike wants to be with him on the next one because he wants to participate in the completion of the review of the 1102 objectives. But expect in the future, Steve, to do solo shows and take over for one of us or both of us as opportunities present themselves. I've mentioned this before. We're getting closer, so I want to start mentioning it again because something really cool has happened. We have a gent coming on in November is the plan right now. Old co-worker and great friend, Doug Jones. He is one of the engineers who manages and does all kinds of things for the Ethernet network on the International Space Station. And we're just going to bring him on and talk about that, see what his job does and, what's going on there. He has some really interesting things to say about it, to be sure. And if he doesn't say them automatically, I'll drag it out of him, but I don't want to steal his thunder here. Our initial plan and conversation was sometime around Thanksgiving. Okay, so we'll work it out as Thanksgiving gets closer. I got a text from him a couple of days ago that says November 14th is out. I think we made a tentative possibility. He said, because I have to support a launch of a crew going to the space station. That is perhaps the coolest text that I have ever received. My friend can't join me because he's working a crew or supporting a crew for a trip to the space station. That is just awesome and ever. All right, let's see if there's any final questions, and then I'll throw the big closed switch here. Can you read the meeting minutes? Born again nerd. Yes, I can. And better yet, you can. It's up all weekend. Go to pirsquare.zapto.org. Let me put that up. In fact, let me put all the good posts up one final time here. So if you didn't get these because you were late in the show, here's my email address, my LinkedIn contact. Let's put the discount code program up. The code that's in this one, ball, expires Sunday night. There'll be a new code on Monday morning. The Discord invitation link. Maybe I will vamp until the last second, huh? And then finally, where you can get the notes from today's meeting. My web server, pirsquare.zapto.org. It's sitting on top of my desk. I only run it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or on request. You send me an email, tell me when you need it to be up. It'll be up. I'm always logged into the Discord server. And so you can contact me there and say, hey, can you up your server? I need to download some stuff from there, and I will. All right, closing it down then. As ever and always, my gratitude to Mike Myers, Total Seminars, and everybody at National Cyber Groups who so generously provide us with resources and time that we can get together here every week and do this thing. My most heartfelt thank, however, goes to you and everyone who comes here to participate. I am Dave Rush, Senior Instructor at Total Seminars and Resident Pi Specialist, wishing you a great weekend. Take care of each other, take serious steps to stay healthy, call or visit your parents, and never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, good night. I'll see you on Discord a little later and at the AMAs next week. Until then, I am out of here.